Have you been to the Red Square?
That's
Yes,
what
he has
I
been
asked.
to the Red Square.
I wanted to describe how it is.
It's red.
Basically,
No, it's not.
No, it's red. It's red.
It's red. They teach us parabolas and ellipses in school. That is the greatest way to teach you geometric shapes. Can you make a parabola? Yes, let's go out and be. In addition, Indians like seeing Russians. A lot of Indians will be so happy to see Russians and go and be like, hey, hello, nice to meet you, welcome to our country. And the Russians, like him, will probably say, we've been here before, go away. we know everything about Goa by now.
Pineapple Podcast, Episode 1. Krishna Subramanian, Mario the Legend, will be joining me as we speak to Simon the Chokehold himself. We will be hearing about how is gender treated in Russia, how are children educated about sports, why is chess such a big thing in Russia. We will understand how India is perceived, how India is experienced. We will have an amazing conversation with our friend Simon. I cannot wait for you guys to check this out. Welcome to the Pineapple Podcast. Krishna Subramanian here, Mario Rosario, distinguished Mario Rosario over there.
It is so nice to actually be in the same room with you, kicking off this podcast by taking pot shots at me. But go ahead, I think the focus is on our guest of honor today, Simon.
Simeon, welcome to the Pineapple Podcast.
Thank
It's
you,
such
guys.
a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
We have been actually talking about doing a podcast for what, 3 months now? 4 months?
Yeah.
And for 4 months, we did not do a podcast because we didn't know how to do all this. All these setups are something we do not understand.
Mm-hmm.
So very quickly, we want to say thank you so much to Dimple Mehta Fernandez in the background, who refuses to come on camera, who helped us set all this up.
Wherever she is, wherever you are.
Yes, we are thinking about you, wherever you are in the world.
Looks very professional, yeah.
I love the fact that on our first episode, someone has called us professional. That's a good way to kickstart this particular show. So, Simon, the most obvious question, let's get it out of the way, right? As soon as anyone ever sees you, the first question they must ask you is, what do you think of Mario Rosario?
That's probably not the first question they'll ask him. The first question they'll ask Simeon is, where are you from? What are you all about?
So, guys, I'm from Russia, basically Moscow City,
Can you repeat that again, please?
Russia.
The
Moscow.
word. Okay.
Moscow City.
Moscow.
Moscow City, yeah.
Okay.
You actually grew up in Moscow?
Yeah, so I was born in Moscow and all my life I spent in Moscow except last couple of years, which I'm here in Mumbai.
Your schooling, your graduation, everything in Moscow?
Everything in Moscow. Of course, I was traveling here and there and I was visiting many countries, but all the main time I was in Russia.
And your family, everyone is still
Yeah.
based in Russia?
So, they're still based in Russia.
It's fascinating because you have done schooling in 2 different countries, yes?
Yes.
So both of us are the only people who have done our entire schooling in the same country.
I'm still trying to think about where this is going. But talking about schooling, you must have explored a lot of Moscow. Have you been to, I'm quite sure you've been to Red Square. Can you
Sure.
describe Red Square?
One second. You're asking someone from Mumbai if they've ever been to the beach.
Yeah, but I want to know what it feels like because I've never
You can
been
ask
to-
him that. Have you been to the Red Square?
That's
Yes,
what
he has
I
been
asked.
to the Red Square.
I wanted to describe how it is. Can you-
It's red.
Basically,
No, it's not.
No, it's red. It's red.
It's red.
So basically, all Russians, they go to Red Square only if some relatives from abroad or from different cities are coming. So usually we don't spend our weekends going to Red Square or time after school or university. So if we have guests, usually we invite them and we go together to Red Square. So because it's the most popular place in Moscow.
Where do you go usually? If just you want to go have some fun on a weekend, where would you go?
Bars, sport facilities, options, many options. Now, in Moscow, there are many places where you can spend some time. For example, there are a lot of bars, there are a lot of parks. And these parks, comparing to Mumbai parks, they're really huge. I mean, really huge. It's like size of a district of Mumbai. For example, if you go to VDNH, which is one of the most popular parks, it's really large. So you need to spend whole the day if you want to travel it without a bicycle.
Does it snow a lot there? In Russia, I'm guessing it does. So do people still visit? I'm guessing they still go to parks when it snows. I'm guessing there's a lot of skiing which happens there too.
Basically ski is happening not in the city line, so it's in the countryside. In the city there are a lot of ski ice rinks, so giant ice rinks, and even in Red Square, in the middle of the Red Square, there is a big ice rink where people are coming to have some fun, skating and do such thing. And in Vdnha, the ice rink area, it's about it's really huge. It's more than a cricket field.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've been in India now for what, 2 years-ish?
2 years. Yeah.
What would you say is the stupidest assumption Indians have about Russians?
I'm not sure that it's an Indian. It's general assumption that all Russians drink vodka all the time and play balalaika.
What do you drink usually?
Vodka. What you play balalaika?
So, interestingly, you mentioned Russians, you see them a lot in sports, ski sports, acrobats. There are certain sports in the Olympics which Russians win the gold medal all the time, acrobats, and it's almost like nobody even comes close to that. How does Russia do it?
So not only acrobats, I believe also fighting, ice hockey, and winter sports. So the main reason I believe it's because of availability of sport. So sport is very available in Russia. Because here, if you go to UFC gym, I'm attending UFC gym, you need to pay like 2,000 rupees for one lesson. And in Russia, it's for free. So if you are interested, you can come and you can train. And if, for example, if they see a potential in you, so they will help you to promote. They will help you a lot. So in Russia, the main reason that in Russia sport is available, and we have a tradition. So all people, all guys, if they have a boy, they first think about sports section, like he will go football or swimming or boxing. So it's like this.
Russia sports is free. As in, if you are enrolled in a school, you can join a gym for free, or it's free for everybody.
It's in general, every school it has a gym and it's free for all children. But if you want to go for in a high level, then you need to attend special section. For example, ice hockey, dedicated to some sport.
Is that free?
It's not free, but it costs like very less.
Okay, so if I'm in school and my kid wants to learn UFC, just wants to learn jiu-jitsu, let's say, or wrestling. My kid wants to learn wrestling. She can directly apply, or
Yeah. So it works like this: she can directly apply, and it will be for free. And but it will be some basic level, like not professional, some very basic level. But if her trainer, her coach sees that she has some potential, then he will promote her to some better level.
it's the coach's decision.
And it's family and coach decision, because if family wants but kid doesn't have any potential, then it will be a waste of time. And coach can tell, let's say, okay, you can do, but he's too small and he's not very active.
Would it be surprising to see a child not go into sports at all in Russia?
No, it's possible. There are some guys. Who are not attending sport classes, but most of people do sports.
It's such a contrast,
Yeah, it is.
right? When you look at India, the focus when someone gets into kindergarten or preschool is purely academic, and people don't really think about sports until almost like an afterthought. Sports is almost like an afterthought. Here you have sports, one of the main features when somebody starts going to school. It's really amazing.
But how you get your professional sportsmen? I mean, they are not trained from the very childhood.
I guess that's changing now, isn't it, Krishna?
In India, for example, my daughter, she's 5 now. Thus far, there's no sports in her school. Thus far, until now, they've not really done any sports of any kind. We've had to go out of our way to find someone who can at least make her run and do obstacle courses, because she loves jumping around and moving around things. So we have paid money to get a bunch of kids together who just run around on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. That's it, 3 days a week. In Russia, at what age would a child pick up sports?
So I'll tell you an example of my brother. I have a younger brother, and our difference in age is 14 years.
Okay.
So basically, when he was born, I was 14. And when his 1 year birthday, my father bought him a small skates for hockey.
1 year old?
1 year old. And he started walking in the skates. When he was 2, he had already all skates, hockey stick, all the equipment. So basically, he started playing hockey when he was 2 years.
But did he show inclination for that, or is that
So you see, the main idea is if we take any professional sportman, then environment is very important. So if from his very childhood he is surrounded by hockey players, and everybody is saying that hockey is great, or for example boxing is great, and his uncle is Mike Tyson, and his brother is Roy Jones Jr., he will be growing up in this environment, and he will be very excited.
But Mike Tyson didn't have a boxing glove on at 1 year old. 1 year old, we give kids strollers here. You give them a hockey sticks.
Yes, you see, because before level of sport, it was a bit different. Now, every year, every generation of sportmen is become more stronger and stronger and stronger. For example, if we take snowboarders, then 20 years ago, they were making tricks which now 14 years guys from school can make. It's because the average level of sport of somebody is going up. Because before they were from time to time they were doing snowboard, they were making some tricks, and then they became professional sportsmen. But now these small guys, they're making tricks from 3 years. So they have 5 hours of training per day. Of course, when they at the age of 20, they're much greater sportsmen than their ancestors were. And for example, if we're taking Travis Rice, who is the best snowboarder, who was the best snowboarder, even they were doing less impressive tricks that guys are doing now, because generation of level of sportsmen is increasing every generation.
What did you play when you were a kid?
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey.
When did UFC start for you?
So basically, I was doing a lot of sports. I was swimming, then I was boxing, then I was doing some mixed fight. At the time, it was not mixed fight; it was kickboxing. Then I went.
At what age?
Maybe I was 12.
Damn.
And then in 12, I came to ice hockey. And for my generation, for my age, it was very, very late, because usually professional hockey players, they start playing at 6 years. So can you imagine when I'm 12 and I'm coming, this old guy, they were doing all these tricks and I was just a newcomer. It was extremely difficult for me to get this level, because there was a 6 years gap between their experience and my experience.
Ice hockey is a little difficult to play in Mumbai.
But then I guess, the whole point here is that, it's the environment around you which conditions you. If you're surrounded by people who are talking about the same sport, right? So then you also do that. For instance, your environment around you has got this, big library here. I'm guessing your dad would have owned the British Council library.
It doesn't matter. See, if you even look at my library, half the books are Russian. There's Dostoyevsky over there. There's Tolstoy over there.
I've actually tried to read Dostoyevsky. It was just too much for me. It's like,
Is Dostoyevsky
in Russian?
reading?
Yes.
You tried to read it in Russian?
No, in English.
Okay.
You've read Dostoyevsky?
Yes. So in our school, Dostoyevsky is a part of a school program. So all people who went to school, they read Dostoyevsky, Tolstoy, and...
So you've read Crime and Punishment,
Bulgakov.
you've read a chapter, or you've read Crime and Punishment, you've read Brothers Karamazov?
I've read.
All of them?
Yes. But I haven't read Война и мир by Tolstoy, because I read a short...
Which one?
Война и мир is like Peace and War. By
War and
Tolstoy.
Peace.
War and Peace. War and Peace.
Right.
So
What did you say for it?
I've read
So how do you say it in Russian?
in Russian, so it's a book with the main context of the book. So because if you take Война и мир, it will be like 3 tomes, like this. And when you're studying at 8th grade, you don't want to spend all your time reading Война и мир, because
you see, it should be here somewhere.
It should be here somewhere, yeah.
you have War and Peace.
I have like a collector's edition of it, and it should be here. I kept it on top.
So is Dostoyevsky to Russia like what Shakespeare is to
No, let's put it, if we want to take the main author, it will be like the most popular, let's say, who created Russian literature, it was Pushkin. Pushkin,
yes.
Yes,
Okay.
you know Pushkin. So Pushkin is, if you start a sentence from his poetry, every Russian will continue because we all learn it by heart when we're at school. And the most popular book, as poem, which he's created is about Evgeny Onegin. So it's about the guy. So about this time when he was. You need to read this.
I've heard of Pushkin. I've never read Pushkin, but I love Dostoyevsky. And I'll tell you why, according to me, Dostoyevsky is the greatest writer ever. If you read Ayn Rand, or if you read Sidney Sheldon, or you read Jeffrey Archer, you read anyone. Even if you read any author, you'll more or less find out their writing style. And if you've read enough books of that author, you'll be able to predict how the book is going to end. Right? For example, Sidney Sheldon, you'll know that, okay, there's a twist. This one person who was only mentioned a few times, that person is actually coming in and doing something very serious in the end. Read Jeffrey Archer, you know that those two protagonists, if you read Cain and Abel, you know the entire story is going to have a start.
So you're saying it's predictable?
Right, in a way.
Okay.
It's not predictable, but if you've read it and you come to the end, you won't be blown away. Be like, man, this was a fantastic novel. Exactly as I expected a great Jeffrey Archer novel to be. Exactly as I expected a great Sidney Sheldon novel to be. With Dostoyevsky, you read Brothers Karamazov, you read Crime and Punishment, you have no idea how the book is going to end. No idea. Throughout, while you are reading Crime and Punishment, you have absolutely no idea, is he going to be caught? Is he not going to be caught? What is going to happen? And in the end, I'm not going to reveal it obviously, but in the end when what happens, you're like, wait, what? How did that happen?
You better not go beyond that.
Okay, so according to me, there is a legit case made for Brothers Karamazov being the greatest book ever written, period. Fiction, non-fiction, whatever. Brothers Karamazov.
So, question to pose to you: why is it you feel that Russian authors don't get as much publicity in the literate world, in the library, in bookstores than Western authors? Is there really a case for that? Because if it is as good as you paint it out to be, I mean, more people.
It's difficult to read. Maybe that's why.
But I mean, in every country, you know, even here in India, you know who is Dostoevsky, you know who is Pushkin, who is Tolstoy.
Not everyone knows. I mean,
Everyone knows Tolstoy.
In many countries, yeah. For me, in my case, we have a very dedicated school teacher, which was making this literature and literature lessons. And when we were studying this Crime and Punishment, so my task during the school program was to just imagine the time in court, and I need to defend this main character who killed this babushka. So I need to write like a small state in his defense.
Well, that would have been a good exercise.
Yeah.
Because in Crime and Punishment, the whole idea when you read that book.
Stop right there.
No.
Okay.
Typically,
Yeah.
if you see any book where there's a crime thing happening,
Yeah.
see anything on the TV where there's a crime thing happening, right? The first thoughts in your head is, I could have planned that crime better. That's the first thought in your mind. Like, why did he do it that way? Why didn't he do this? Then he wouldn't have gotten caught.
Really, though, these are not the things I think. Well,
I think every time I see a crime being committed and the guy getting caught, I'm like, why did he do that? Why did he leave that at the crime scene? He should have known that shouldn't have happened. These guys have no sense. If I'm committing the crime, that would never have happened. That particular concept is one of many concepts that Crime and Punishment explores. And it's insane. When you read one chapter of...
I tried reading Crime and Punishment.
It's difficult to read.
It is difficult. I had a whole bottle of alcohol, which I thought I would read, and then I will drink, and then the book is still unfinished, but the alcohol is finished.
So even the English translation is difficult, yeah?
It was in English.
Yeah, the English translation is difficult. See, because if you remember, the first chapter itself, so much is happening. There is that drunk uncle that he's trying to go after. Then he gets his letter from his sister. So in that first two chapters itself, suddenly you're exploring different aspects of human personality right there. And then when those play out throughout the book, there are so many times when I was reading Crime and Punishment, I had to just shut it for a second and be like, wait, what did I just read? That didn't make sense.
But it's not only with Russian literature. For example, take Gabriel Garcia Marquez, which is 100 years of loneliness.
Yes.
So if you open this book, in the very end of the book, I couldn't remember the characters which were in the very beginning of the book because there are so many characters.
100 Years of Solitude.
Yes.
Very, very good book, yes. So if you know that book, that means you've read a lot. So how much is reading a part of growing up in Russia?
It's a lot. I would not say that it's like. It depends on personality. Because many people are in sport, so they don't have time for reading. But we have a school program, and we have many other authors which are not so popular worldwide, but they are very popular in Russia. For example, Mikhail Bulgakov, who wrote Master and Margarita.
Master and Margarita.
It's a very brilliant book. Yeah. And I don't know why.
I didn't know he was Russian.
Everybody knows the story of Pushkin and Tolstoy, but nobody knows Bulgakov. That's why I'm surprised that you know Bulgakov. But his books are really nice.
I have Master and Margarita here somewhere. That's a brilliant book as well.
And he was a doctor, and his early books he describes his doctor practice. So how he was helping people. So it's
I should go and read Pushkin. I feel like today's the one output of today is I should definitely go. You should read Master and Margarita. I'll give you my book. Brilliant book.
On the same lines of thinking and reading, right? I mean, there's one angle you said where Russia gives a lot of attention to sports, and there's a literary angle. There's also the heavy thinking angle. Russians play a lot of chess, don't they? In fact, for a long time, Russians were were the first grandmasters in chess, and that's a thinking sport. And you had one American, Bobby Fischer, in 30, 40 years, and every other person was just one. If all the rest were Russians. I mean, if you think about a chess grandmaster, there's an 80% chance that a Russian name will come to your mouth, not so much American.
You ask Magnus Carlsen who his favorite player was, he'll say Garry Kasparov.
Mm-hmm. Garry Kasparov. Right.
But chessmate was invented here in India, yeah?
Yes.
So yes. As far as I know, you have also good players here in India.
It's been picking up recently.
Pragyananda, the kid, he's what? He's barely 20. I think he's 20, yeah. But he just defeated. He won very seriously. I'm very proud of that kid.
But he's not the number one rated.
Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing.
Gukesh is
he'll get there. Pragyananda. I was watching that match between Pragyananda and Vishwanathan Anand at the Tata Steel tournament, and Pragyananda made one mistake. Otherwise, he had Vishwanathan Anand in that game. And he later, if you see that video in its entirety, you'll see Pragyananda actually pointing and saying, I shouldn't have played that. And Vishwanathan Anand very patiently explains, yes, if you had done this and if you had done that, I wouldn't have been able to stop you. It was a nice moment to watch.
But interesting, there are no openings named after Indians. There are lots of Russians. The Alekhine defense, there's a Petrov defense. All these gambits, right? Russians made. So you say India created the sport, but Russians are the ones who actually pushed the sport forward, right? All these gambits people say, I'm playing the Alekhine defense, you're doing the Petrov defense. So
see how you mentioned parks, right? In America, there are these parks where there are these chess hustlers. Basically, there are a lot of parks with benches, and these hustlers will sit and just play and beat you very quickly. Does that happen in Russia?
Same in Russia. We have, especially because in Russia it's very cold during winter. So mostly people sit at home watching, reading Dostoyevsky or Bulgakov. So mainly in summertime we go to the parks, we spend them doing whatever we do, and in the evening you can see a lot of guys that are playing in chess or checkmates. So yeah, it's also the reason of availability. In every school we have it's possible to apply for a class. To do some chess mates so it's a bit.
Was there as much money in chess in Russia as there were in other sports? I mean, the focus was it a lot more there?
I cannot tell you for sure. Not.
How does money play into the decision of which sport you should play in Russia? For example, in India, first priority is cricket, right? Because cricket pays you a lot of money, and hence the competition is intense. Does money have a factor in which sport you play, or there is no money, it's just talent and upfront?
No, of course it plays. And if you want to get to a very high level, you need money because you need to pay for sport camps, you need to pay for equipment, Of course, you can get some grants, but anyway, you need to invest. And if you want to raise a professional sportsman, it will cost a lot. We cannot tell you that, okay, go. I mean, there are a lot of facilities and there are a lot of opportunities, but anyway, you need to invest in this. Like,
I thought you would say UFC. Because I was so surprised so many Russians have come into the UFC now.
it depends on the region. So if we take Caucasus and south of Russia, so all guys are doing UFC. So it's better not to start a fight if you're in Caucasus, because they will grab you immediately.
We should have him do it to you once before the show.
I don't doubt his ability to do it. So therefore, it's not going to happen.
No, but the viewers would like to know that Mario Rosario has never once thrown a punch in his life.
But
How is that possible? Not once, even in a playground, you not just punch somebody.
What is the need to when one can settle things a bit?
Can you ever be in a school and not have fought, not at least thrown one punch at somebody?
So that was my big concern, because when we came here, and there is a skate park just near my house. I'm living in the Carter Road, so near my house, just on the beach, there is a skate park. And I was so much surprised when I saw some young people, they were playing on the top of some figure, and some older guys, they're waiting till they finish, because in Russia it will be immediately, they will be slapped. Yeah, because in Russia, for example, if you're coming to a new school, it's not possible to avoid fights. You will be in a fight 100%. If you go for in university, okay, it's more or less easy, but in school, at least at my time, when I was a child, and my father was a child, it was not possible to go to school. 100% you will be in a fight.
This is a positive thing for us.
Yes,
See, we Indians are very cultured, respectful people.
So do you feel like you just have face palm now?
Dude, I got into fights. Whether I liked it or not, I got into
Face
fights.
palm.
I think this is your country.
So
When there was a fight in Malaysia, you ran off and came to India.
No.
When there was a fight in India, you ran off and went to Malaysia. That was your plan all
I
along.
mean, that's what everybody does anyway, right?
How many countries did you go to for schooling? One.
One.
Nobody else does it. You did it.
Sometimes we don't make the call, right? It's done to us. So when you're young, it's not like you have the choice to where you get to go. Of course, you just.
How do you choose to be? Most Russians know how to fight, yes? When do you decide that, okay, violence is the way to go?
So I still don't think that violence is the way to go. But in order to defend yourself, you need to have some basic skills. For example, you come to a new school and you punch in the face. So next day you're thinking, okay, I need to do something with this. And
Great. Now let's move away from these violent topics. Can we talk about Lake Baikal?
Pronounce that again.
Baikal. Is that how it's pronounced? Baikal.
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 Yes, Baikal.
Baikal. Right. So.
Why are you so fascinated about this?
Because it's the biggest inland lake in the world.
So-
And it's right in the middle. There has to be something fascinating. Have you ever heard of Lake Baikal before I just mentioned it?
You pronouncing it like that is the most entertaining thing in the world. Say it again.
I know,
Lake
say it.
Baikal. Say.
Let's hear.
No, you say first. Lake
Let's
Baikal.
hear. Can you please talk about this?
Is that the way you pronounce it? Lake-
Baikal.
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 Why do you need to enunciate so many things?
That's the look at yeah.
So
So what's
Baikal,
special about that lake?
it's
Say
the
nothing.
great.
Say nothing. Say nothing special about that. Full point gone.
No, really, it's very beautiful. So it's one of, I think, it's the biggest lake, and the water quality is like, in general in Siberia, quality of water is you can drink from river. So it's like very clear. Baikal nowadays is not so clear, but in any case, comparing to the other lakes, it's still very good. And it's extremely beautiful. I mean, nature around Baikal and Baikal itself is like very beautiful. And during the winter, all the Baikal, and it's like it's really huge. It's like a sea. It's massive. It's all covered by ice, and you can go ice skating with an ice rink, like 4 kilometers. So you can see any direction you want. It will be ice. And a lot of video of guys who are coming there. They put this ice skating, and those videos are great. So if you want to come to Russia, so it's a must-visit place.
There's no
100%.
if 100% I want to come. But now I think I know why he keeps asking about Lake Baikal. You just said no, you can drink from the water. He lives in Powai. He went and tried that in Powai. I think he started drinking water from Powai Lake. And that is why you had those gastroenteritis problems.
No, I don't.
And as a result, you are interested in going and living in Lake Baikal. You like drinking lake water.
I don't like drinking lake water. How many tourists come to Russia every year? I mean, Do you think it's one of these unexplored countries? A lot of tourists go to Europe, right? There's cathedrals but even St. Petersburg in Russia is quite beautiful, and Moscow. So what's the flow of tourists?
So I'll give you a two-part question there. One, yes. And also, do you get irritated that people only know St. Petersburg and Moscow?
No, I think it's two main popular cities. One is capital, one is ex-capital, so it's okay. These cities are really beautiful. So if you've been in St. Petersburg, you can see all these cathedrals and streets, like it's very beautiful. It's very beautiful and clean. And but I think if you want to come to Russia, for sure, 100%, you need to visit some places to see nature, like for example Altai. Altai, so it's also in Siberia, so it's mountains, Altai, and people they're going to Altai for hiking, like with bags. For example, my friend, they came there for 2 months, and 2 months they were just wandering in this around the lakes and trees, and in Siberia it's extremely beautiful, and you can walk 1 month and you will not even meet one person. So it's absolutely empty.
How many tourists do you get in Russia?
So now it's becoming more popular. So before it was absolutely wild. But now people are coming, they're building it's already, you have internet here in Siberia. You can also find a good apartment. No, I mean not luxury, but at least good. You have hot water, like internet, light, everything.
You can see northern lights from Siberia. Like
from Siberia, no, we need to go because Siberia it's located in the middle of Russia. If you want to see northern lights, you need to go to the northern part. For example, Teribirka or Murmansk. By the way, I've been there in March, and it's also very, very.
In March, you can see
March.
northern lights?
No, in March. To understand, in March it's like minus 40 in these places, so it's not like.
Just out of curiosity, how do people live and survive in those temperatures? We live in the very close to the equator where we are used to heat, and there are certain people who live in minus 10, minus 12, minus 14 every day. They wake up to those temperatures. How do they live? I mean,
so the main idea I think is you need to know how to wear and what to wear. Like for example, I have many friends from India who are coming to Russia, and when it's minus 10 outside, they were wearing like t-shirt, another t-shirt, then a short, and then jeans, then another jeans, and sandals. So usually you're not wearing like this when it's minus 20. You need to wear some thermal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jeans, another jeans, and sandals.
Yes, and sandals, and of course you will be cold because
I can imagine.
like, without socks.
Jeans, another jeans, and sandals.
So the coldest I have been is minus 25.
Canada.
Yeah. It was in Toronto, and it was Quebec actually. And they said don't go out because the moisture in your eye will.
Why were you wearing sandals?
So I wasn't wearing sandals. I was wearing shoes. In fact, I couldn't take off my gloves. If you take off your gloves, you get that bone chilling.
Oh, it's okay, you can take it.
I took it off. I had to run inside. It was so cold. I mean,
The only thing I will recommend you not to pee outside when it's minus 40.
thought didn't even cross my mind.
Okay, wait. Why?
So I think, have you seen it could be like, chick, and then you need to, with the hammer.
Now I so want to go pee in Russia. I might just go do it once.
You were so happy with the way.
Dude, can you imagine? They teach us parabolas and ellipses in school. That is the greatest way to teach you geometric shapes. Can you make a parabola? Yes, let's go out and pee.
I'll remember it. Can you please write the equation for that? There's no such equation.
So I will tell you, if you take for example, hot tea and you will splash at minus 40, it will explode. Like
the tea will explode?
Hot water will. So you can imagine what could happen if you.
Now I want to go to Russia. Just for all this stuff.
No, I mean it's very beautiful. You take this.
I'm sure, but I want to do these things now. This is way more entertaining than. I mean, fine, you can see the sights and sounds, but you can go drink from the lake, and we should do all these stupid things.
So one of the famous things to see, and what I've heard written by one of these famous authors is the Trans-Siberian Railroad, which is apparently the longest railway in the world, which goes from the east coast
Even today,
to the
it's the
west.
longest?
I think it is not. So, have you been on that rail? On that?
I haven't been, but I have many friends who traveled, and yes, it's a very unique experience. It will take around a couple of weeks, and you need to spend this couple of weeks in a train. For us, for Russian people, it's so. We're not so excited, but a lot of foreigners who are coming for them just to travel across the Russia. Yeah, it's nice.
I
Paulo
wonder what's
Coelho
the...
has written a whole book about his journey. In fact, the whole book was about his journey on the
Which
Trans-Siberian.
one?
I forget the name, but he's written a whole book about it. Yeah.
I wonder which is the longest railroad in India. I wonder what's the biggest railroad in India. Could one of you just yell at us, what is the longest railroad in India? That'd be fun to know. Just I'm curious. Especially because if you're saying Trans-Siberian, that's going east to west.
Yeah, he's.
I'm getting north to south. If you're going Srinagar to Kanyakumari, that might be a longer rail.
But how much time it will take?
I think the
But
max
Chennai
is-
to Mumbai takes 18 hours by train. So if you do that, multiply.
It's Kanyakumari to Dibrugarh.
which is
Kanyakumari to
3 days.
Dibrugarh.
I'm guessing will be
How
3
long
days.
is it?
It's very long.
In number of days, 3, 4.
Could you also check, is the Trans-Siberian Railroad still the longest railroad in the world?
I think yes, because you can imagine.
Yeah, because
it's
East-West
also-
Russia is
yes.
quite massive.
So here's the thing: India, we only have one time zone, right? Russia has a few time zones.
That doesn't mean anything. Do you know why India has one time zone? Technically, the
should have one
northeast
time zone, yeah.
is supposed to be on a different latitude
Yeah.
and longitude. The trains weren't running on time. They were getting confused with their time zones. Hence, they made the entire northeast, like Calcutta. If you go to Calcutta at 6 in the morning and you look outside, you're like, how is this 6 in the morning? Go today and see. You will be like surprised. How can this possibly be 6 in the morning? That entire region, because they wanted the trains to run on time, they made sure all of India is on the same time zone.
I have a question. Like all foreigners have when they come to India, they live for some time. So if we compare like all the countries in the world, then basically we have a difference in 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But in India, we have half hour. Like difference in time zones with Russia, it's 2.5 hours. Like how where you get this half an hour? Why it's half an hour?
Where half an hour? There is no time difference in India.
Okay. Try to explain it in other words. For example, Moscow and Dubai, it's a 2 hours difference. Moscow and Paris, it's like 1 hour, 2 hours. And India is only 2.5. Why half an hour?
But I'm guessing it's because of our unique ability to put the entire country on one time zone. What he's saying is, how can it possibly be that Singapore is 2.5 hours ahead
So
of
if
us?
you see,
instead of
if
2?
you compare us to GMT, it's 5.5 hours, right? So
No, I
near
mean,
the half an hour.
If you will compare India to any other country, it will be an hour and a half, 2 hours and a half. But when you compare all the different countries, I mean, between each other, London,
No,
Paris,
I don't
it
know
will
the
be-
answer. But it's a very unique Indian problem. We do have that 30 minutes.
yeah.
But think about it, you're right. You always see GMT plus 5.5.
Plus 5.5, right?
We don't see that 30 minutes in any other time.
So if I compare, with Australian time, Singapore time, it's 2.5 to Singapore time. If it's 5.5 to Australian
Yes,
time,
half,
then
always half,
then
always
half
half.
an hour is always there. Yeah.
But I was very surprised till I traveled to Nepal, because in Nepal it's 15 minutes different. Did you know
That
that?
sounds like...
This gets even more strange.
Yeah. So I was, what?
Yeah, that sounds a little bit like... See, of all the things we think that people would be confused about India, we never thought about this one. The time zone. There's so many other...
But
What
this
other
is
things surprised you?
Conversion, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
so number one, I was very surprised with time zone. Second, I was very surprised with counting. Like everybody is saying 1 million, you're saying 10 lakhs.
10 lakhs, yeah.
And when we were saying, so I mean, it's only in India. Nowhere
Yes.
in the world you're saying like crores and lakhs. And when you will not say, for example, 12.5 million, you will say 1 crore and 25 lakhs. And I was like, what? What is that?
Yeah, that takes some time. In Russia, what side of the road do they drive on? Left side, right side. So is our driving correct?
No.
Other side, right?
Opposite.
It's fun. So is it weird for you to get on this side of and drive? Like not just drive with the distance, but even turning the wheel, does it feel weird?
No, for me now it's okay because now when I'm coming to Russia, it seems to be weird that they are going in the wrong direction. I need some time just to change my mind and.
What's the most famous automobile manufacturer in Russia?
In Russia,
Which car do you see on the road most?
Lada.
Okay, you see a Lada.
So Lada is national, like
It's
producing.
like a 118 NE in India.
Oh yeah, Premier 118. Premier.
It's very similar. They had Ladas in. I thought Ladas were in Azerbaijan. I didn't know they were in Russia as well. Okay, so you see a lot of Ladas everywhere.
Yeah, because they in Azerbaijan because they were imported from Russia.
Really?
Yeah.
Azerbaijan imported from Russia.
Yeah. No,
Fascinating. Russia exporting automobiles.
Yeah. Lada, Niva, Volga.
So the export of those cars is restricted only to neighboring countries, I guess, because you don't see them.
You don't see it here in India because the quality is not so great. So you will not take it because logistic will cost a lot to take it from Russia, and it will be difficult to sell it because logistic will increase the price, and you will. Okay, you can take Mercedes and you can sell it here, but Lada it will be complicated because you have Tata and a lot of cars. You produce also cars.
So how have you adjusted to India? What are some of the things which strike you?
So in general, no, I like India. I like mentality. I like people are very friendly, and the environment is.
Are you saying that because we're recording this?
Yeah. What I don't like is pollution.
Yeah.
Pollution is awful, and it's difficult to escape. Even if you go to Goa or you go any place in India.
That's why you need to go to Lake Baikal.
He just actually came back from Goa. So tell me, you went sightseeing and you didn't just do work.
So mostly I was doing work. On weekend, yeah, I spent one day just walking. But I've been in Goa, I don't know, maybe 20 times already. So,
Really? So this is not the first time you come to India?
no, I mean I've been living 2 years in Mumbai.
So
And
you've
very-
gone to Goa for 2 years, you've already been there 80 times. That's amazing.
There's more than the normal Indian who go to Goa.
Okay, so why does Goa fascinate everyone? Why do you guys like Goa so much? There are a lot of Russians in Goa.
Yeah.
But why is Goa so special for you?
So because all Russian, it's possible to swim there, and all Russian they love swim.
But those waves are tiny, right? I'm guessing you must
No,
have.
I mean even if you're not doing like surfing, it's possible to swim because the water is comparing to Mumbai, it's clean, and it's not so crowded. It's like in a village.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the air is much cleaner than in Mumbai. Yeah, and you have some this kind of freedom. You can take a bike and you can go to any cafe, and it will not be crowded. You can see sunset and go. Nice, Goa. Russian people like Goa.
So that's the same reason why Indians love Goa. In addition, Indians like seeing Russians. A lot of Indians will be so happy to see Russians in Goa and be like, hey, hello, nice to meet you, welcome to our country. And the Russians like him will probably say, we've been here before, go away. we know everything about Goa by now.
Anything particular about Indian food you like?
So initially, when I came to India, I was in love with Indian food, like chicken butter chicken. We call it butter
Butter chicken.
and it was so tasty, and
Where did you eat it?
many places.
Have you eaten it in Delhi?
No,
So-
I tried it also in Delhi.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But later on, my stomach, it was it was not in love with Indian food. That's why now our relationships are a bit complicated. So I love it, but
I've never I know this is the problem, but I've never understood why this is the problem. Why is it that, in particular, Indian? Does this happen with any other Southeast Asian country? Like, are you not able to tolerate Malaysian food, for example? Can you eat a nasi lemak easily and not have stomach issues?
so in general in Asia, we need to be careful because our digestion system is not used to with all these spices and water
It's the
quality.
spices.
Yes.
So a lot of Southeast Asian countries also use spices. I guess the in Indian cuisine they put a lot more spices, a lot more chili, a lot more. This is a lot more spice. And so if you see people coming from Asia to India, Thai people, Singaporeans, Malaysians, Indonesians, they'll adjust. But people coming from, I'm guessing Russian cuisine, it doesn't use a lot of spice, does it? So it's
Only pepper and salt. That's all.
pepper and salt. So
What's the best dish anyone should try in Russia?
Pelmeni.
Armenia?
Pelmeni.
How do you spell
Pelmeni
it?
is like momos, but Russian style momos.
Oh.
Pelmeni. Pelmeni.
Pelmenia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also borscht. Blini. It's Russian pancakes, but they are very thin, and you can eat it with a caviar or with a red fish.
You have caviar just like that?
Yeah.
Seriously? Caviar is expensive in India.
Here expensive. There are a lot of products, for example, salmon. When I saw the price for salmon, I was like, oh my gosh, it's how much you pay for? It's like 6,000 per kg.
Yeah, well, $600 for a plate of salmon for sure. Easy.
Crazy.
it's expensive. It's considered
In
premium.
Russia, it's like maybe when I left Russia, it was about maybe 800 for kg, for 1 kg, for 800 rupees. So the difference is like around 10 times, a bit less than 10 times.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you see this video of Tucker Carlson recently? He was in Russia, right?
Yes,
He went to the supermarket and he took a video of himself buying groceries in Russia. So he wanted to find out for $100 what he's usually buying in US and compared it to what he's buying in Russia. And it is insane. Like check out that video if you guys want to, but he goes in and it's insane. He has like an insane amount of items that he's buying for $100. And now he's saying salmon is free and you're having caviar on the side. What are we doing in India?
Yeah, but that's because the inflation in the US is very high also.
Yeah, but caviar? Yeah, if you're
Caviar is supposed to be a delicacy.
do we farm caviar in India? I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
Caviar is what? Fish eggs, right? It's fish eggs?
You can call it fish eggs.
You do get fish eggs, but caviar, I'm guessing caviar is certain type.
It's a very special fish.
No, we food, like technically it's a fish eggs. But nobody calls it in Russia fish eggs.
No, but I'm thinking, why don't we farm it in? We have so much water in India.
There are shrimp farms, there are
I've
fish
seen
farms,
shrimp farms.
lots of shrimp farms.
But caviar in India?
I guess we have to develop a taste for it. It has to be
Yeah, that's true.
available mass market, and a lot of people should start wanting it like how they want wines now, which is why there's so many wineries. So we have to wait for the market to build up.
How do you like Indian alcohol? Have you tried our whiskeys and stuff? Amrut or Indri?
So I tried wine, but
Which one?
Sula.
You like Sula?
Frankly speaking, comparing to let's say worldwide brands, Indian wine is not so good.
But
Maybe I
look at
can
the
try
price.
it.
$800 for a bottle of wine.
But $800, for example, in Europe you can buy some very very good wine. So it's not
Same price?
And then the problem that wine in Europe is cheaper than water. So good bottle of water you can take for €3, €4. It will be a good wine.
So I'm guessing there are a lot of other places in the world where you get good wines. Australia, Argentinian wines are also
It
good.
might also be because most of us call it champagne instead of champagne.
No, I don't call it
I
that.
do all the time. I said, please give me water of champagne. I love seeing the expression of the guy when I do that. Have you ever called it champagne? No, you should try it. Especially since you're not from here, he may not even hold it against you.
Okay.
You can just go up to a store and say, can I please have a bottle of champagne?
Or maybe sparkling wine, which is a much more
He's
affordable
way more refined than
version
I am.
of champagne, right? You can. Have you tried sparkling wine?
Yeah, but not a fan of it.
Not a fan of it. Why not?
Because usually you drink in Russia, you drink it during weddings, and when you take it too much, then you have a headache next time.
You guys drink vodka. How can wine give you a headache?
No, sparkling wine. It can. Normal wine is usually it will not cause any problems, but sparkling wine, if you drink it, you can have a headache next day.
Speaking about sparkling wine, I last had fantastic sparkling wine was when I went for a classical music concert. Guess what type of artist I was listening to in classical music concert? Russians again. So that's another thing which Russians are really good at.
Classical music.
Classical music, piano, orchestra. One of my favorite pianists, Sergei Rachmaninoff. I just love his piece, and a lot of people have tried to play after him. And I keep looking at all the classical musicians. Most of them are Russian or have Russian-sounding names. Again, another clear area which Russians seem to dominate. And today, when I look at the classical music era, I see a lot of people from China who are coming up, a lot of Chinese pianists who are, Lang Lang, who are good, but
How did you go from sparkling wine to
that's
classical music?
because you get this served when you go for concerts, and that's one of the famous drinks they serve you outside. So another good pivot point, since you were running away with food all the time, was to bring it to classical music.
To
Classical
sparkling
music.
wine.
We are done talking about food, Krishna.
No one can do that, and you did it really well. We were talking, speaking about sparkling wine, I attended a classical music concert.
Okay, maybe he doesn't know Sergei Rachmaninoff. Tchaikovsky, another amazing.
I don't know Rachmaninoff. I will check him out, but everyone knows Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
I say Tchaikovsky, but okay. Is it Tchaikovsky?
Tchaikovsky.
It is Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky. Fine, Tchaikovsky.
Everything for you is
Swan Lake, right? One of he has very so again. How did classical music take off there? What's the pull for people to learn classical music?
So again, I believe it's availability. So you know that if you take a professional piano player, that his level of playing depends on how much time he spent playing piano, and in many old-fashioned houses in Russia, when you come to some babushka, they have these very old pianos staying, and they are very heavy. And you pay, if you want to sell it, you need to pay triple price just because it's very heavy, and you need to find guys who will take it from your house. So I mean, in many apartments you have this piano. So again, these instruments, they are very available, and the coaches who can do who play piano, they are also very available, and the prices are not so high comparing to, like, say, in Europe. In Russia, if you want to find a good teacher for your, for example, daughter or for your son, it will cost you. It will not be so expensive.
It's really interesting you say that, because when I'm listening to this, I don't see a capitalistic angle at all here. It's just that even when you spoke about sports, there is a need, people need it, and there are tutors available, there are people available to help you train. And there literally is no monetary angle to this, right? I mean, in the West, when you're a place, that's a good sport to get in, there's money coming in there. Coaches will make so much money, and so let's all jump in. But when I hear you say, I don't think those are the motives driving that behind. It is something people like to do, and I just heard you talk about a piano. So I'm thinking that it becomes almost like an heirloom. There's a piano in the home, and you need to learn it because your ancestors knew it. I'm not sure, I'm just guessing at this point, right? Mm-hmm. Are these some of the things which, it's like hereditary, it's part of our culture, we have to continue it?
So even if you hire, I will give you an example. If you hire a teacher there in Russia and you will not pay him too much, it will be just some small average amount of money. So most probably he will be very deep in this, so he will be a fan. And if you'll see how he teach, so he will be, even if the time is over, he'll, no, I will show you this one. Please listen, I can show you this one. So this is person who is involved, he has a desire of playing music or boxing or whatever. And there are a lot of people, here I was a bit surprised that, for example, you come in to a coach, then 45 minutes is gone, and he's, 45 minutes is gone, lesson is over. In Russia, he will tell you, no, especially if he see that you're interested, he will, no, let's have another 30 minutes for free. I will just show you a couple of things that you need to learn.
Is that a population thing, or is that a money thing?
It's a socialist thing, isn't it? I mean, if you look at it, we are so used to this capitalistic way. 45 minutes I'm being billed for. If you want more, you pay more. But from what I'm hearing there, it's no, I love it. You paid me fine, but I want you to learn. I'm wondering whether there's a big difference in the whole way of thinking.
See, for example, Kiara's gymnastics class.
Yeah.
Right? It's supposed to start at 5 o'clock and it goes till 6:30. And we paid for it.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There are many times where the kids, while they're playing, they'll enjoy one particular activity. So the teacher will do that activity extra. And they always end with yogic breathing. So even if they've done that activity and it's 6:30, the teacher will say 10 more minutes, we'll do the yogic breathing, then release them. So teacher won't release them at 6:30. But that's only 8 students there. Hence I'm asking, is it a population? Now I'm guessing if it was 80 students there, the teacher will also play bus karo yaar, I'm done. Please take your students and go at 6:30. And she will make sure that, look, I can't give that attention. So it's so many of you, Please, done. 6:30, please, parents take them and go.
No, but this he's talking about personal coach. You're
So
talking
you
about
have, if it's a personal coach, obviously you want to pay them money, they'll try and give the extra, right? At the end of the day. So at school, does this happen? Is it a normal thing for teachers to go out of their way in schools?
Yes, especially
Okay.
if he sees the potential in the kid and he sees that this topic is he's interested in this topic, then no, of course he will stay after, even in school, even in some, in some, anyway, school, university, everywhere. If he sees that the kid is interested, he will pay more attention and he will give his extra time for free.
There you go.
Russians are passionate, there's no doubt in that, because like you said, the number of things that have come out of Russia is insane.
Yeah.
It's not even close. Like the number of Olympic medals you guys won, I don't think there is a single UFC fighter out there right now who can beat Islam. I don't think anyone's beating Islam. If Khabib decides to come back, I don't think anyone's beating Khabib. If Fedor decides to come back today, he's what, 54 now, 55?
And he's
If Fedor decides to come back today, no one's beating him, even though he's 55 years old. So once you've achieved a certain threshold of excellence, I think you can't be beaten if you're... Like Russians get to that threshold of excellence. I think the word I'm looking for is discipline. It seems to be a very common thing in Russians. Like for example, I've never met a fat Russian. I've met Russians. I have my uncle works for Ayuka. He's got Russian students. He's got Russian friends. I have never met a fat Russian. Have you ever seen a fat Russian?
Yeah, in Russia there are some.
My point is nullified. So,
But usually they're beaten in school.
No, there's someone in my extended family who's older in age and who is a little on the heavier side, but he swims. He swims like crazy. I mean, I don't think fatness is a measure of you being
No, I've never
unhealthy.
seen,
I think I've seen you can still be active and you can still be on the heavier side. So I'm not sure is that the case then, because maybe the whole sports angle plays in there. That people are very active when they're growing up, so that even when you age, you do put on weight, but you're still active. And
So I think it's discipline, and I think it's the way how we raised. For example, I'm going to UFC gym, and like months ago I started feeling some pain in my elbow when I was doing some exercises. So what usually we do? So I put some band and I do it again exercise, because usually people when they feel pain
They stop, yeah.
They stop. What we do? We put some band. We take some tables, and then now after 1.5 months of instant pain, I said, okay, I will go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and he told me, okay, you have there is it's called like a golf elbow.
tennis elbow, yeah.
Yeah, there is a tennis elbow and there is a golf elbow. So I have a golf elbow. So I need to have to keep out of sport for at least 1 month. So only after this I will say, okay, I will wait for 1 month. So usually in Russia we take a band and we continue doing.
So one of the biggest things that is still somehow trending all over the world is communism versus capitalism, socialism, all that stuff. And one of the examples people give with communism is Russia. Why? Because, like we discussed, so much excellence comes out of Russia, even though it is supposed to be communist. No one can argue with Russian efficiency, nor can anyone argue with output from Russia. Even then, when you saw the USSR collapse, or were you there how old were you when you saw that happen?
So I was so my date of birth was 1986.
So 91, right? USSR collapsed.
Yeah.
So where were you at that time? You were in Moscow?
I was in Moscow, yeah. So I don't remember.
I mean, how is he supposed to remember?
So
5 years old.
what
No,
was
I
it
cannot-
like that
I
era?
cannot remember in details, but I remember that in general situation was very difficult for all Russians because there was no food. It was for our parents it was very difficult because to find a good job, and they were struggling with all this, trying to raise their kids, trying to find new job, trying to survive in this. It was a complicated time for.
What were your parents working as at that time?
So my father, he was a car driver, and my mother, she was working in the medical facility, so she was kind of a doctor.
Okay.
But even for my mother and for my father, it was very complicated. It was difficult. It was really a struggle. I believe for all Russians, the time was a struggle.
So you said you have a 14-year older brother. Younger brother.
He was not in.
He was not in the picture there. Okay. So
Not even in the draft.
Are you drafted? Are you two brothers? How many siblings do you have?
One.
So you and your brother, that's it. Okay. And your all your family is still based in Moscow?
Yeah.
Okay. How difficult is it for your family to come out of Russia now?
It's okay. To India, it's okay. Because if I were in Europe, then it would be complicated. But in India,
Going to Europe or coming from Europe?
Coming to Europe.
If you're already in Europe, going back to Russia, coming to India is
I
a
think
challenge.
all this traveling, like Russia, Europe, is complicated both ways.
Got it.
But for India, it's okay. It's a bit expensive because now all the air tickets for flights they went up. But it's okay. So my family last year they came together, my father and my mother, and this year, so 2022 they came together, and 2023 my mother came because she wanted to see Mark, my son. Yes, so
You named him Mark?
Mark.
So how religious are you? You're Orthodox Christian, I'm guessing?
Yes,
So very high level, because even I still don't understand this. Roman Catholic Church, Orthodox Church. What are the first few differences there?
Oh my God, you're putting me on the spot.
Anyone? What is the biggest difference between?
Orthodox Church, first of all, we have our Christmas, we have a different date. So our Christmas is 7th of January, while Catholic Christmas is
25th of
7th of January. So what happened on 7th of January?
It's just a date.
Okay.
So it's a correct date.
According to the Bible, Jesus Christ was born in March?
There's no record of the birth of Jesus Christ in the Bible.
No?
No,
Okay.
there's not.
So
A record of the date of the birth. So
But
it's all presumptuous.
a lot of people say he wasn't actually born on 25th December.
the research says that he was actually born somewhere close in the middle of the year, June, July, because of the time of the year that when Jesus was born, the shepherds, when they were looking for an inn, and at the same point of time, it was actually snowing, it was cold. So, the experts have done some research, and there's enough proof to show that he was actually born at a very different time of the year. But, these decisions are taken by, the Roman
The
Catholic
Nicaea
Church.
Council.
The canon. The church took the call as to what to put the date, and everyone celebrate. It's more of a celebration of the birth. The date per se is just a...
So 7th of Jan, does it have any meaning? Is there a religious meaning behind it?
I don't think it's at least not in the Bible. It's not written anyway. But I'm not sure about the Orthodox.
You can check. I have Bible right there.
It's not written. The dates are not.
Okay, no, but so 7th of Jan is Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay, what else is different?
Our temples are different from our churches. For example, if you
You
come
have temples?
churches,
Okay.
church. So if you come to Christian church, we don't call ourselves Orthodox Christianity. We call just Christians. We don't have a seats, so you need to stay.
Always standing. Okay.
Standing. Yes. Also, inside of the building, we have very beautiful fresks, and I will show you after if you want.
Yeah.
Pictures from our Christian churches.
So you have the stained glass windows. Is it?
Yeah.
Just like Roman Catholic churches also have the stained glass windows. Designs of people on. So Roman Catholic Church will have the stained glass, but if you go to evangelical Christian churches, they don't have that. It's just it's more of a architectural thing of.
So for both Roman Catholic and Orthodox, Jesus is the Son of God.
Yeah.
And it's Christ on the cross who we bow down to.
Yeah. For all Christians, it's the same.
So the only major difference I'm hearing in Orthodox and Roman Catholic is 7th of January versus 25th December and standing in churches. Is there anything else?
And not that I'm aware.
The way is there confessions and all is there in both? Do you confess in Orthodox?
Yeah.
So you confess in Roman Catholic as well.
Maybe the procedure is a bit different, but
And the head of state for you is not the Pope, right? For you, who would be the head of state?
so Pope. In general, we don't call it Pope because Pope is not very good name. So it's Episcop, Archiepiscop.
The Archbishop
Yeah.
for you, okay.
Yeah.
So Archbishop is there one? I've heard. I don't know. Maybe I've heard this, but I've heard archbishops a lot.
So the archbishops.
It's like for one region there's an archbishop. Is it?
Yeah. So I don't really know the actual hierarchy, but there are archbishops in the Roman Catholic Church, and they come beyond this. So the Pope.
There are archbishops in Roman Catholic Church.
Patriarch. So they are archbishops too, and they all fall under the control of the Pope.
And but for you is the Pope the head of your?
No, it's a very different order. They don't come under.
But they have archbishops too.
They have, but their order is very different. So the head of the Roman Catholic Church is the Pope. They are Orthodox Christians. They have a different head who's not the Pope, who may be the Archbishop.
And for you, Archbishop for that region, or do you have one Archbishop for all of Russia?
Frankly speaking, I'm not very deep in. I cannot tell you the details. I know the general structure. Yeah.
Fair enough, but like it's for people like me. Before we started even speaking to people from other religions, right? For us, it was like, okay, we are Hindus, and then there is Islam. All of them follow the Prophet Muhammad. We have Christians. All of them believe in Jesus Christ being the Son of God. That's it. So we had a very 30,000 feet view of all religions. And then now when we're seeing all these conflicts erupt and we go down and we try to understand why these conflicts are happening, then we find out, okay, there is a Roman Catholic Church, there's an Orthodox Church, there's Protestants, there's Jehovah's Witnesses. And then from Islam, we know there is Shia, there is Sunni. The differences in how Prophet Muhammad's teachings are being followed by one particular sect versus the other. Those kind of things come out now. And I'm guessing from your point of view, you're also saying the same thing about Hindus. In my mind, we're all like Hindus, but you probably found out that there are caste systems and there are different Hindus here. There's like 10,000 gods in our country. Have you ever been to a temple?
Yeah.
Which one?
So I've been to several temples. So I have a few Indian friends, and when we're traveling somewhere, for example in Delhi, we usually will come together because I was surprised, but in India, when you travel somewhere, so this traveling to like temples and like pilgrim traveling is very popular. Pilgrimage, because in Russia, or in any other country, for example, if you're traveling, you go into some seasides, like for example, ski resort or
religious travel. That you're saying that's
you're going for a sea or to see some places of natures or some architecture. But here, pilgrimage is very popular. So even if infrastructure is not near, for example, mountains or near sea, it's close to temples. And so it's a nice experience. It's a very unusual and very unique culture and very unique architecture. Everything seems to be very different from what we used to see. So I know already there are some names like who is Shiva, who is Ganesh. So I like to see all these festivals. So it's a unique experience.
Have you experienced a festival in India, like actually participated? Holi or Diwali?
So first was Ganesh. So I went to this main beach.
Okay.
So first of all, I was traveling around to see all this statue of Ganesha. Then I went to the main beach, and because on the 7th day they bring all these statues to this beach, and then it's nice, especially for us who never seen this before, when these giant statues like 3 to
it's quite big.
Yeah, quite big. They pulling it into the sea. Yeah, and it looks like very amazing.
You like the drums, the drum beats?
Yeah, I mean the general everything like statues and drums and flowers and different lights, and all the night they're doing some dances, and so all together it creates some very unique atmosphere. And I think.
Did you also dance?
I tried on Navratri festival. So they took me because they build these rounds. Around so they're walking around there some just walking around.
Good for you.
So they took me and I was trying to move same way.
Like even I don't do it really well, but it's a big thing. In fact, even at the club, so at Mumbai Toastmasters, whenever that festival season shows up, we actually have one guy who will go around and organize, and we'll all show up and we'll all do the dance. I think he went last year. Did you go last year?
No, I didn't. I was supposed to go.
Okay. I went to 2 years ago. It was like far away. I went to Goregaon to Nesco. It's a huge stadium. And it was fun. It was unbelievable fun. It was a new dance. It was nice to see so many I have, when people are sitting and talking, there's a different vibe. And then when you suddenly see them and do synchronized choreographed dancing, you're like, wait, this side exists to this person? I had no idea. And everybody I knew, and first of all, in Bombay, you're surprised by the number of Gujaratis. There's an insane number of Gujaratis in Bombay. And all of them love to do the Garba during Navratris. Nesco is jammed. It's a huge hall. I'm not kidding. It's a massive, huge hall, jam-packed. And where people have like cordoned off areas. There are men with saris holding off, trying to keep this area to themselves, and all the women are dancing inside. That level of insanity to do that dance and enjoy that dance and have some fun while doing it. I haven't seen that in that much fervor for dancing. I haven't seen.
In other parts of India, I have not seen it.
Not that much. There is fervor, but this, the cordoning off and...
You won't see the Garba that much in the south.
Yes.
You won't.
Yes, because very few Gujaratis live
so
south of Bangalore.
Yeah,
like
so
I
it's
would
a
say.
lot. Even in Bangalore, you find a lot of Maharashtrian Gujarat.
Yes. Yes. Have you learned Indian language? Do you know when an Indian abuses you?
No.
No? We should educate him. Mario, do you know when an Indian abuses you?
Of course, I know anybody abuses me, but you know.
Can you please teach Simon some curse words which he should be aware of?
No. And I advise you to stay far away from people who abuse you. Just look at them and just walk away. It's not good to. I'm sure you know it's to be avoided. You know, we Indians are really peaceful people. What are you talking about using choice language?
Yeah, I know. Some of us have not thrown a punch in their entire life.
we don't want to get into unnecessary conflict, so we just walk away.
So speaking about Hindi, I started learning Hindi, but then my teacher, so she increased the cost of lesson 2 times. After.
There you go.
So this is example, I believe, of abuse. Yeah.
What did she do?
So she told me after 1 month, she told me, sorry guys, but next lesson will be 2 times more expensive.
Creative pricing.
Yes. So if for instance, if you were to go to Russia tomorrow and say I want to learn Russian, do you think they'll do that? Are they going to say, oh, you're non-Russian? Let's see, the price just became 2x.
That'd be fun.
So here's where the whole socialist thing comes in, right? I mean, people are teaching you because they really like teaching you vis-a-vis. Oh, here's an opportunity for me to get more profit. Yeah.
See, with
Seems so
socialism,
honorable.
I've always agreed with, I think it was George Orwell who said this. Socialism is not so much about people who care about poor people. It's just a bunch of people who hate rich people. And I'm seeing that attitude spread a lot in the US now. If you're a millionaire in the US, if you're a billionaire, the first thought they have is, how dare you be a billionaire? The first thought. It's like you're being punished for having money. Now, I'm not saying that there are evil capitalists. Of course there are. And I'm not saying that capitalism is beyond reproach. There are obviously better ways to do capitalism. Not a single person who will ever doubt that. But communism, where do you stand on communism? See, it's the moment in my head, right? I never want to give the government that much control. That's the line for me. I don't want the government to decide what the price of something should be. I don't want the government to decide what I should be doing with my life. I prefer the government to just provide me 2 basic things. Safety, that look, if someone breaks open the door and walks in and holds a gun to my throat, I can call the government to send someone to stop. And justice.
Yeah.
Like if I have created something and this is my land and I have paperwork to prove it, there is a court of law that says, yes, you own it. That, according to me, is the primary role of government, and that's all it should be doing. I will concede that this used to be my opinion. I have now reversed it to add this, that you cannot have monopolies. If you've created a business that's a massive monopoly, for example, Microsoft, when it launched Internet Explorer, there used to be another browser called Netscape Navigator. Right? Microsoft was so big, it packaged Internet Explorer inside its operating system and started selling. So no one went and bought Netscape Navigator. So that the United States courts decided that was not a good way to practice capitalism, and they actually struck that down, and Microsoft had to pay a fine. That is a good form of capitalism. And that is a good thing that the churches do, where you break up competition. But the moment you have a top-down structure saying, no, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what it wouldn't work.
So I'm wondering whether this whole capitalist idea works well in countries which are relatively smaller in size to manage or more disciplined, like and
Any concept works
because-
when you're smaller.
Yeah, so a country which is really large, like Russia, India, China, right? When capitalism may not be able to reach everyone, and the social net is something which is really needed because you can't reach. In India, the project now, what we are trying is we are trying to get capitalism to the grassroots, right? Because previously our socialistic systems, never used to work that way. So we are trying to do it now, but generally, if you see, social nets are needed. And which is why when people look and see, oh, the social net is not good enough, not everyone can get fed. How dare they be billionaires? That's when you look at this whole extreme, and then that's when people question, well, how dare you? People can't survive and you're taking home profits. So I'm guessing that, I'm not justifying it, but I'm guessing that's where the whole idea comes from.
Inequality is definitely.
So let's ask Simeon here. Are there any Russian millionaires?
They're oligarchs, no?
Oligarchs.
Forgot about them. Roman Abramovich,
Abramovich.
the owner of Chelsea.
I believe he
Chelsea.
parked his yacht in Turkey now.
Really?
Yeah. Lots of Russians go in Turkey, right?
Yeah.
That's another famous destination for lots of Russians, Turkey.
Egypt, Turkey.
Why Egypt?
It's very close because some places, like for example Nepal, is very close to India, and it's you see like nothing very exotic in Nepal. But for Russia, Nepal is like wow, it's Everest. It's like some unimaginable journey. Same Egypt for us and Turkey is very available, so tickets are cheap, and it's very close. So if you come. If you go on the streets, everybody in Turkey they speak Russian. In Egypt, they speak, at least sellers. They can, привет, иди сюда. So they all speak. They all know some basic words in Russian.
Have you been to Egypt?
Yeah.
Oh,
of course.
great.
And in Turkey, all Russian, most of Russian.
Did you know that? I didn't know Turkey was.
No, Turkey, I knew there were lots of Russians there, but Egypt, I didn't know.
Yeah, Egypt same.
Fascinating, because I was under the assumption that all Islamic nations are not aligned to Russia.
In the present alignment.
I would have assumed, but clearly I'm wrong. Turkey and Russia, interesting. Egypt and Russia, interesting.
I guess it's just a matter of holidaying. Sharm el Sheikh, that's one of those places in Egypt where a lot of tourists go to. In fact, I think they fly in straight to Sharm el Sheikh and then they don't even, some of them don't even go to Cairo, they just fly in there and they fly out.
No, they have a lot of. So the sea is beautiful. Like Red Sea is considered to be one of the most beautiful.
Yeah.
Then the pyramids. So everybody coming to see these pyramids.
Yeah.
So many places.
Is there ancient monuments in Russia? Something like the pyramids?
No, such
The
ancient.
Tsar's palace, does it still stand?
But it's no. Yes, but it's not Kremlin, for example. There are so most of Kremlin building they are from Tsar. From this period.
Was
of
the
time.
Kremlin a palace before?
So before Kremlin was white color. So even before Kremlin was made of wood.
Made of
Then,
wood?
yes, then it was destroyed, and they created a white color. And it was Moscow was called like a white stone city. So everybody knew because Red Square was not red; it was white. And Moscow was at the time it was known as a white stone city. And all it happened in the Tsar period, and all this like Kremlin, these beautiful structures, they also were in period of Tsar. So we can.
So if we were to visit Moscow, will we be allowed to go and take a tour of Kremlin and see it?
Sure. Well, of course you cannot go inside,
Yeah.
but some general.
No, because
He wanted to go inside.
I wanted to go inside and see what it is. So I'm guessing just from outside they let you.
You saw the Mission Impossible movie recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's all. You saw the movie where Tom Cruise is doing that thing and then walking.
Yes.
Okay, how would you rate that could really happen? Not a chance, right? I'm wondering why these guys want to keep messing with the Kremlin in their movies. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of Russians watch that and they're like, okay, come to Russia. Let us see. How's my Russian accent, by the way?
Nice.
Dude, I'm telling you, I could pass off for Russian. I could speak to you like this and you would be very scared because you have no idea what I'm thinking. Because I have poker face.
But do you know some Russian words?
I really need to learn. Because if I can do the accent, I think I should learn some Russian words. That is going to be the aim of the next few, as long as you're in India.
By the way, I found out that there are some words in Russian language that are very similar to Indian. And maybe not to Hindi, but to Sanskrit. For example, dверь. How you say door in Sanskrit?
Dvir. Yeah, okay.
Dверь.
And what does dvir mean in Russian?
Door.
Oh, okay.
So you see some, or for example, огни.
Fire?
Fire.
Really?
Yeah. Or how to say 600.
600.
600. Russian, 600. 600. You
Dude,
see?
the basic idea is a lot of your czars have probably descended from Indians. So there was one.
So there was some guy who came. So it was long ago. He came to Russia and he was from India, and he was some I don't remember his destination, but he got a special translator who was helping him. And after 2 weeks of traveling in Russia, he was saying, okay, I don't need a translator because I understand you have many words which are similar in Sanskrit and in Russian. So it means that we have, I don't know why, but
No, hang on, that's not possible. Okay, speak to me in Russian. Let's see if I understand it. Say, it's nice to be here on the Pineapple Podcast.
Мне нужно открыть дверь.
No, not a chance. I don't understand a single word.
I mean, get off your high horse.
He said that one Indian showed up there and didn't need a translator.
Your English version, your English Russian accent is pathetic. Let's please not go there.
I have two Russians now who said my accent is good.
I have a better topic. Are there any vegetarians who visit Russia?
What?
I want to know. Lots of people who come around the world are vegetarians. If you go to Moscow, what options do they have? Right? Because
tell you
lots
one
of
thing.
people-
When anyone asks you a stupid question, do you have a reaction or do you always have the poker face?
Vegetarianism is picking up the world over veganism.
So if you had to give a really stupid reaction to him, how would you look at him right now?
Okay, and how would veganism?
Now, if you travel in Russia, there could be some options, but before, like maybe 2 years ago, 5 years ago, the difference between vegetarian and non-vegetarian is that vegetarian will eat spaghetti with sausage, or non-vegetarian, and vegetarian will eat spaghetti without sausage. So there is not too many options for non-vegetarians.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I think that's what should be done in India.
Or for example, non-vegetarian will eat potato and chicken, and vegetarian will eat only potato.
That's exactly what happens in India.
But you replace the actual meat with a vegetarian dish, like maybe potato or maybe a broccoli or something like that instead of.
Now they're trying to create some options because if you're not consuming meat, you need to substitute it for a special, like for example, you need to eat this protein-containing products.
Yeah.
And now they start thinking about it because in India, in your kitchen, you have many protein-containing products. For example, this dal.
Yes.
Dal. There is
Yes.
inside, so it's also a source of protein. So you have many things like this which can substitute your meat or chicken. So it's manageable here to switch to a vegetarian diet, but in Russia it's very difficult.
So you said you couldn't eat butter chicken. So what do you eat now in India?
I'm trying to eat some European food. Basically, I like many Indian style meals, dishes. For example, I like thali, which is usually it's rice, like non-veg thali, the veg thali, butter chicken, then naan, like cheese naan. Also, if I want to have something not spicy, I'll take this chicken, mark chicken, murg chicken, which is not very spicy.
Murg is Hindi for chicken.
chicken.
So when you say murg chicken,
Murg chicken.
Yeah.
I like chicken.
Yes.
Yeah, that's also good.
Does murg mean chicken in Russian?
No.
Damn. Okay.
Курица. In Russian,
Would have been funny.
курица.
What is the meat that is most eaten in Russia? Chicken or beef?
Chicken and beef, both.
Beef. Okay. Fascinating.
Also pork.
Is there, what is the strangest meat you've ever had to eat?
Strangest meat.
Like you were surprised that, oh, I just ate that.
Or you only get this particular meat in Russia, you don't get it outside. For instance, in some cold countries, I know they eat, like for instance, Canada, they have these bisons and all this.
Elk.
Elk, right? So in cold countries, you sometimes
elk, I think, is
eat
normal
animals
venison.
which you don't get in warmer tropical
Have you tried Russian crabs?
Crabs? No, I have not.
So generally it's called not the Russian crab, but Kamchatka. So Kamchatka is a region of Russia, so it's called Kamchatka crab. And the size of this crab is like this size. So it's
That's not a crab.
Yeah,
that's
it's
a,
a
that's
huge-
a lobster. That's a lobster. That's a.
No, it's a crab.
How can that be crab? Like it has 4 legs.
You just type Kamchatka crab, and you will see the guys holding these creatures, and they're so
Damn.
they are very tasty. It's they're expensive even in Russia, and it cannot be compared to any other crabs. So
This
it's-
looks like something I will run away from when I see.
Kamchatka
This
crabs.
big-
This-
this
I-
big-
now I have something
If
got added
you
to
go-
my bucket list, man.
If you go to Russia, you need to go to some sea restaurant and try Kamchatka crab.
Done.
It will be magnificent, like very, very nice.
Kamchatka. It even sounds so
Yeah,
nice.
it sounds so
Kamchatka
nice.
crabs. The best place I had crabs is actually Ministry of Crab. There is an outlet in Hyderabad.
There's an outlet in Bandra too, very close to it.
I haven't been there.
Yeah,
So it's managed by some ex-cricket
Ex-cricketers,
players.
yes. But
Yeah.
damn good food.
Yeah.
Very nice food. And Goa. Martin's Corner?
Yeah.
Been to Martin's Corner?
No.
You must. The crabs in Martin's Corner, heaven. Absolute heaven.
So take this crab and compare it with.
No, I'm not
Kamchatka
comparing.
crab.
I'm not comparing. You know what happened? Very recently, I was speaking to a Russian and we were saying about how we've saved tigers in India and there's such a big tiger population. And it was not him, but it was someone else who was like, oh, you saved the tiger. Here, have a look at Siberian tiger. I'm like, holy shit, that thing is huge. Have you seen the Siberian
Yeah,
tiger? They
yeah.
are massive compared to our normal Royal Bengal tigers.
Royal Bengal Tigers, yeah.
So, I don't know if how aware of you that these are the two main countries which have tigers, Russia and India.
I was aware of half, not the whole thing.
It's like a massive thing, man. Those Siberian tigers are insane. And they all live in Siberia, right?
Indian tigers are smaller than.
They're not, when I say small, I'm not saying they're tiny.
Right.
Let's say if you're looking here, maybe these 4 tiles are a tiger.
Okay.
But a Siberian tiger is probably much more massive.
You know,
Because I thought
probably
that-
the reason. What's the national animal of Russia?
Beer.
Yeah, so for us it's tiger, right? That's why we know.
I thought you were saying what the tiger is eating. It's possible that they were the deer. How big are the deer there? Or do you have deer or do you
Not
have
deer,
tiger?
but beer.
He said deer. he asked national animal.
National animal.
And you said beer. I like it. Russian animal. So let's talk Toastmasters a little bit. So
Okay.
were you a Toastmaster in Russia?
No. I haven't heard about Toastmasters before I came to India.
You heard about Toastmasters in India for the first time?
Yes.
Are there Toastmaster clubs in Russia?
I believe yes, but I haven't tried. I
Haven't
haven't
tried.
checked.
Okay. And straight away the first club you walked in, Mumbai Toastmasters. So what drew you to Toastmasters?
So I need some experience in public speaking. I was searching for some kind of courses or opportunities to speak before some audience, in front of some audience. And then I was checking what I have in the internet. I also asked my wife to help me, and she told me like, no, you cannot find anything like that in Mumbai. Then I spent myself like 5 minutes. I found this link, so I came, saw how you perform. You have a very high level speaker, so I decided I want to join the club.
We are very high level speakers, that is true.
Who are you talking about though?
No, it is fascinating how a topic like public speaking is still so needed everywhere. Right? It's when this was created, I'm pretty sure no one imagined that it is going to fill such a massive need. That people are going to struggle with public speaking. This was started quite a few years ago.
Essentially.
And here we are still, and it's still not something that's taught in schools at the level it should be. Like I went and taught in schools, I'm telling you, it wasn't to the level that it should be taught right now. And we're seeing adults who are saying that, dude, we need public speaking, right? And you've been our Toastmaster for what, for 14 years now?
Yeah,
And you're still here because you're saying that this is still giving you
yeah,
output.
it is. Yeah, it is.
public speaking in Russia, there are so many famous speakers from Russia, right? So it's not strange to see people address an audience in Russia, right? But did you have a chance to speak to audiences during school, college?
So I was not very much involved. I was not very much into it because I had no need. But then,
Presentations?
yes, but it's like small meetings. It's a bit difficult. It's a bit different when you're presenting something to like 4 people, or we're talking to 100 or 1,000 people. So it's a bit different skills. But like everything else, you just need to practice more. The more you practice, the more confident you become. You just need some time.
It is surprising, for sure. I mean, I continue to be surprised to this day how popular public speaking is as a. Do you know how many Toastmasters have started their own company as public speaking teachers? It's a very common career track after you're done with Toastmasters, where you just go forward and you decide to become a public speaking coach, life coach. Is a very common thing. You'll see it amongst far too many Toastmasters. And I don't know if, do we have life coaches at NTS? I don't think so.
Yeah, we do. They're being built all the time, even outside. So we do have life coaches.
Would a Russian ever hire a life coach?
Life coach, what do you mean by that?
That's a good question.
To begin with.
That's an answer right there.
So let's take the word literally. Someone who coaches you about life and how you have to keep life in balance, all the different aspects, the spiritual, the physical, the mental. Someone who coaches you on.
No, I know it's popular here. Because I have already heard a couple of times life coach, like what he teaches.
Is it popular in India?
It is popular among, I'm guessing, a group of people, maybe of a certain age, who are looking to fill a certain gap, or maybe.
See, I'm laughing at the idea. I feel like it alienated an entire audience of life coaches right now. I'm guessing there are decent life coaches. Okay, for example, Tony Robbins would probably be a very good life coach. Like, I've read Tony Robbins' books. I think Tony Robbins' his ideas are quite. Have you ever read a Tony Robbins book?
So I have seen a couple of his speeches. Generally he's a very good. He has a very good skill of presenting some ideas. But the idea itself is something like you shouldn't do what you don't need to do, but do things you need to do. So this is
most of it is so simple. But like for example, that priming exercise that he has, I tried it. It actually worked. I was surprised. And the health thing that he thought you should start drinking wheatgrass. Having more like wheatgrass apparently is 70% chlorophyll. Drinking that with your body basically, if you, to cure inflammation, you need to make sure your body is less acidic, more basic. Wheatgrass will help your body be more basic as opposed to acidic. Those kind of things actually worked. So when I tried it, legit it worked. I've stopped having regular colds and sneezes since I started drinking wheatgrass. And the priming thing, now I do Wim Hof breathing and stuff.
Yeah.
What does your routine look like? Do you have a specific daily routine that you follow?
Yes, usually I wake up at like around 7, then I go for a walk. No, I'm not going for a walk, I have a motorcycle, so I ride for a walk. I ride to the beach, I have a walk, or I do some gym. Then I went for a walk. After work, gym, or spending final time with family, reading and sleeping. So it's a usual, like, from Monday to Friday day of routine.
This has been a very fun day for me personally. Number one, I did not know so much about Russia. I had no idea that Russians learn sports that early in school. 1-year-old wearing skates. That still is blowing my mind. I want to pivot back to you saying that your parents, your mom was working as a nurse in somewhere, and your dad was working as a driver. So I'm guessing it was women and men working is a very normal thing in Russia.
Yeah.
Right? So just walk me through that process. Do you have pressures of marriage? Do you say that someone has to get married at this age? Do you put pressure on women that, okay, you must get married at a particular age?
So before, in the Soviet period, my parents and generation before my parents, they used to get married at 21. So at 21, for example, my parents got me when they were 21, and it was normal. And for now, it's shifted a bit. So now it's 30, 35. And of course, at Soviet period, you could feel some pressure. For example, if you're 25 and you're still not married, or especially if you're 30 and you're still not married, there will be a pressure from your relatives. But now things have changed. and now people trying to build career, to get education, so not too much pressure from that side.
Was the pressure on women more or on men more, or it was equal to both?
I think it was equal.
It was equal. Interesting.
Yes. So the idea was that at 22 you need to be married and you need to have at least one child.
By 22. That's amazing. Okay, my mom had me when I was 22. When she was 22, sorry. When she was 22, my mom had me. So it was normal for our parents. But me, for example, I got married at, I'm going to say 28, and my wife will yell at me later, but I think I got married at 28. And I had my daughter at 31. So you're right. It's slowly moving right, I think, in all the countries. Everyone is having kids a little late.
I think situation here is more or less similar in our country. So before it was 21, now it's coming closer to 30. So for example, me, I got married when I was 35.
Okay.
And so my child also was 36. Mark was born.
So in 1 year you had your kid. So how long did you and your wife date before that?
5 years.
And is that normal? Do Russians usually date for a long time and get married, or is it? Do you have an arranged marriage concept?
No.
So you meet and you date.
I never heard before of arranged marriage before I came to India. So usually in Russia, it's you spend some time together. You could even live together for a couple of years, and only then you get married.
Living together was fine.
Yes.
Living together was fine. Okay.
Are there an increasing number of singles in Russia you see these days? Because across the world, singles, people who don't want to get married, are rising.
Yeah.
Right? So
Same
do you
for
see
Russia.
the same pattern emerging in Russia too?
Same for Russia.
I don't know if you've heard of these stats. These are. Would you believe me if I told you that the human race might be going extinct? I'll tell you why.
It's difficult to believe.
It's very difficult to believe, and I agree.
Billion people on the planet that we're going.
Japan, for example, has had such a drastic declining birth rate that there are some schools in Japan which have had to shut down because there are not enough new children. Right? And someone has to obviously work while we are doing a podcast. So thank you very much. This is Mumbai, right? We will always have construction of some kind happening somewhere. I just learned that in Korea, South Korea, out of 100 Koreans, only 4 will have great-grandchildren. That's how the birth rate has reduced drastically. In China, last year, they gave a week off to get couples to have some time together and maybe consider having children. This has become a trend, and I'm noticing this, that even now you're saying Russia, the marriageable age is getting pushed to the right more and more, and the number of children. Now you had you and your brother, right? But will you have another child now?
We'll see.
So there's no restriction. But in my case, we've decided I'm one kid and I'm done. And a lot of my friends have done that. One kid and done. And some of my friends who are married refuse to have kids as well. Thoughts on this? Do you think having children is something that is necessary, first of all, for a marriage to work? And secondly, in Russia, how much do you get from the government? Do you get any benefits for having kids?
We have a maternity donation, maternity capital.
Okay.
If it's a first child, you can spend it for mortgage, you can spend it for buying a new car, you can spend it for education or for medical services if necessary. So there are several provisions for which you can spend this money. And also if a family earn below some amount of money, which is crucial, you get some extra donation from government. The amount will, it depends on the region where you live. For example,
Okay.
Moscow, St. Petersburg, so it can vary.
And does it become less for the number of children, or no matter how many number of children, same money?
These donations will be the same, but the maternity one-time donation, it could vary depending on. First, I believe the biggest amount you will get for the first child, and then it will be some extra, but not so.
So we don't get that in India. I don't think we get a benefit of having a child. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's a tax benefit either, unless. So if people have not been using the 1.5 lakhs for insurance, I think they can put it in Sukanya Samriddhi scheme and get some benefit. But it's the same thing. I don't think you get separate benefits for having children in India.
I don't think you get,
Right? Now, Do you know if that you get benefits in any other country?
I think we have a birth, a population problem. So I don't think there'll be any. Presently, we have a overpopulation problem. So there's nothing now. There are countries like Denmark. So Denmark, you get government subsidies. You get incentives. The more kids you have, because they
More
need
kids,
more
okay.
kids. So the more people. So in fact, I know for a fact that in Denmark, if you're planning on migrating there, and I'm not really sure about the stats, but if you have more kids, you have better chances of getting it, because they are a country where they need to presently grow their population. The ratio of kids to adults is quite low there. In India, as you know, we don't have that problem presently. Of course, it may come up later on.
So our problem is opposite to your problem. That's why the more kids we have, these families will get more benefits. For example, if you have more than 3 kids, you will get some tax. You will pay less taxes. Also, parking will be free. And in big cities like Moscow, parking is extremely expensive. For example, in Moscow, for 1 hour, if you want to park your car in the center of city, one hour will cost like $5.
Does it surprise you that parking is free in Mumbai? If you find it, that is.
Yeah.
But it is free.
Yeah.
And you can park it for the end. Once you found that and you found your parking, you can park it there for the rest of your day. Does that surprise you?
Yeah.
It's a very alien concept to me to pay for parking. Since any time I don't think in any city in India you pay for parking unless you go to those paid parking spots. Like if you go to BKC and you go into Geo parking, there you have to pay.
Yeah.
But we don't pay for parking in India generally. How is the tax rate in Moscow? What is the general tax rate?
For income, it's 13%.
It's not bad.
In Russia.
Yeah,
That's not, and are there tiers that this particular income is this percentage?
No.
13%
It's
standard.
different from what you said, because you have a very complicated system of taxation.
Yes.
Depending on, in Russian, it's 13%.
Standard, done.
Yeah, there could be some, for example, some interest of your deposit. It can vary, but usually normal tax rate is 13%.
Is there a minimum income you should have for that in 13%?
No, there is just a minimum income. So you cannot, as per rules, you cannot get below this amount. So
The government will give you a minimum income?
it's guaranteed, yes, but you need to.
Interesting. So do you think that scheme works? Your universal income?
It depends on many things. For example, you have a very big population. Your population is number 1. So for your country, I believe it will.
Number 1. Huh?
You cannot. You
It
cannot manage
will
like
cost
this.
us a bomb.
But for us, because we have a lot of space and our population is not so big comparing to the space we have, then it works for us.
This works with that original theory I had, right? It's the population issue.
So, I mean, I'm guessing the key question is how many people you can get out of absolute poverty, because the people you can't is to whom these schemes will work, right? I mean, the whole problem we have in India is to pull more people out of the absolute poverty level. So there's a very thin layer in the end, and you can have such schemes directed to them because there won't be too much of a squeeze on the exchequer.
Universal income doesn't mean you move people out of poverty.
I mean, obviously it doesn't mean, but if you try to pull them out, then if you have a universal basic income, everyone will get it anyway. I know that.
In my mind, universal basic income is, if applied correctly, it should result in you having survival-based benefits: food, clothing, shelter.
Yeah.
Maybe access to extremely basic education.
Yeah, but then, is
internet-based.
this going to be available to everyone, only those who can't afford it?
Only to those who can't afford
Yeah,
it.
so that was my point. So if you can pull people out that abject poverty level, then you have a thin layer of people who this scheme can be targeted towards, then it won't be so much of a financial burden. Whereas if you have a larger number of people who are at the bottom of the pyramid, then obviously it becomes unaffordable at some point.
The reason this is interesting is because technology, right? Especially concepts like artificial intelligence, we are expecting that it's going to take away jobs. And one way to mitigate that, which has been suggested, is let's do universal basic income. So anyone who loses a job, they don't have to worry. They'll at least get this much and they can still survive. And we can allow artificial intelligence to go forward. Now, in Russia, technology side, the space program was first. Yuri Gagarin reached space first. But since then, we've not heard much of the space program. And technology-wise, how would you rate Russia today?
So it depends on the sectors. For some technologies, we're good. For example, IT sector or banking system. If we take Russian banks, it's like really, really high level. I would say it's close to number one. Yeah, some.
In what context? Security?
I mean, in general, how banking sector is working, application that you use, some like
Okay.
your like relationship with the clients and how it's managed. So it's very high level. For example, you can attach. I will just give you one example. You can attach your broker account to your bank account, and you can transfer money directly to broker account, buy any currency you want, buy any assets you want, then transfer directly from your broker account to your banking account, and you can do everything in one application.
That's awesome. I don't think we can do that in any currency in India.
Is this in any currency or is it only in rupees?
Any currency.
That's
Of course,
awesome,
there are
right?
some restrictions now, but in general, you can do it.
Now there are restrictions, but earlier you could do it in
Yes,
any
you
currency.
can.
We can't do that.
For example, when I just arrived in India, I just opened a new account. I made it for my application in Indian rupees. So I bought on a stock exchange Indian rupees, and I was paying with my cards here. That's all.
That's awesome, man. I don't know why, but it's actually quite different. If you go to a bank today and try to buy forex, they'll ask you for what purpose, where are you visiting, and you can't buy as much as you want.
Above a certain, right? I'm guessing rupee is not fully convertible on the capital account.
Exactly.
That's why these restrictions.
So, but that's actually good. And where else? You said IT. You said
For
banking.
example, IT also, if we take a real estate segment, we have a very advanced application. For example, if you want to give for rent your real estate, there is one application for everybody, and you can use it for free. You can give an advertising of your real estate, and everybody from the city, they will have access. You just open the map. For example, if it were in India, for example, I'm looking for an apartment in Carter Road. So I open the map and I just select I want to buy or I want to rent, and you will see all options on the Carter Road that you have. So basically, you don't need agents if you're switching for real estate.
Real estate, I would say we're getting there. 99
I mean,
acres and
so are these apps private sector apps or are they government apps?
It's a private sector.
These are private sector. Okay.
do you have UPI in Russian?
No.
Not yet, right? Okay. Have you paid using UPI?
Yeah. Very, very convenient.
I told you about this friend of mine, right, who came and saw me paying for bananas down with UPI. He's like, what the hell did you just do? I was just bananas. Literally, I purchased 6 bananas using UPI.
Oh, it's very convenient.
Okay, that was interesting for sure. So, you said IT, you said real estate, you said banking. Defense, I'm guessing you guys are pretty good, right? We are still buying jets from you guys. So, I'm guessing defense you're pretty good. What about artificial intelligence or semiconductors?
So we're making some steps, but I believe for artificial intelligence and for quantum computers, we're nearly the same level we have. So our studies are more or less at the same level.
Nuclear fusion?
Yes, nuclear we're a bit advanced. So our power plants is considered to be very competitive on the world market.
Fascinating, man. Simon, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, guys.
First guest here at the Pineapple Podcast. I learned way too much about Russia, which I did not know. I think there were far too many assumptions we all make about Russia, which happily got nullified. I hope we can visit Russia soon. I'm kind of now. I really want to name of that crab again before I forget.
Kamchatka.
I have to have that Kamchatka crab once before that goes into my bucket list for sure. But this was very enjoyable, and thank you everyone for joining us. This was an absolute pleasure. Episode 1 is
Look forward
in the
to
books.
doing this again sometime in the future, for sure.
Bye.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Guys, it's not over yet. Aren't you curious to know why he's called Simon the Chokehold? Stay tuned to find out.